Now, don't get me wrong here. James Harden is a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a scoring champion, an MVP, and one of the greatest offensive talents that we have ever seen in the NBA. James Harden in the regular season is almost untouchable, but when it comes to the playoffs, it's a completely different story. For years, the narrative and the talk has been James Harden is such a great player. Why does he not have a championship yet? Well, I hate to break it to you, but the call is coming from inside the house. And when you really look at the details of what is going on, it's pretty obvious that James Harden is a playoff choker. Now pushing 37 years old, James Harden is on the Cleveland Cavaliers, a move that they made to bring him in to get them over the hump to win a championship this year. This feels like one final chance for James Harden to change his legacy. This is the final chance James Harden has to clear his name. But very quickly, before we get into the rest of this video, if you guys enjoy this type of content, all things hoops, make sure to hit that like button on this video. If you guys want to stick around, join my community, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers, trying to get monetized here on YouTube. And so right now, your support, your subscription means so much to me. But with all that out of the way, let's talk hoops. To understand how we got here, we do have to go back in the history books. I know, a very unk thing to do, but we have to do it. But not to his time in Oklahoma City, where he was a sixth man and was on that team that went to the finals that ultimately lost. But let's move into Houston, the time when James Harden was on top of the league. I mean, everybody knows from Stephen A. Smith, he was averaging 40. This is where the legend of James Harden was built, but at the same time, the thing that nobody noticed was he was also laying the foundation for what he is known as now as a playoff dropper or a playoff choker. Now, don't get me wrong, for his time in Houston, James Harden had some amazing playoff games, but one thing stayed consistent year after year, and it was when it really mattered for Harden and his team, he decided not to show up. And I think that foundation started really in the 2017 Western Conference semifinals against the San Antonio Spurs. In Game 6, with his team facing elimination, what do you think the MVP, one of the greatest scorers, one of the greatest offensive talents of all time, James Harden did? If you thought he had a great game, well, unfortunately, that's not the truth. In that game, Harden scored only 10 points on 2 of 11 from the field with 6 turnovers, and the Houston Rockets lost by 39 points. It was one of those games where it wasn't just like a typical bad game from James Harden. It really looked like he kind of just gave up by the end of the game, and the results showed for it. But I know it's just one game, all right? We're not going to judge an entire player's legacy off just one bad game. If we were to do that, well, then every single player in the entire history of the NBA would be considered a bum with that opinion. But then if we go to the next year in a Game 7 against the Golden State Warriors, we kind of saw a similar thing happen. This is the infamous game where the Houston Rockets missed 27 straight three-pointers that resulted in a loss. And I get it, a lot of supporters will say that James Harden was just unlucky. He was hitting his peak at a time when the Golden State Warriors were one of the most dominant dynasties in NBA history, but it doesn't change the fact that in this game that mattered, James Harden again did not show up. Bad luck doesn't explain 2 for 11 shooting. Bad luck doesn't explain not showing up for your team when it matters most. And so at this point, one time is just a coincidence. 2 times is a bit unusual, but if James Harden keeps this up, well, it's going to turn into a pattern. And it did. So after forcing his way out of Houston, he ended up going to the Brooklyn Nets, where he formed a big 3 with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and himself. Super high expectations. You have immense offensive talents around the board. KD, Kyrie, James Harden, nobody is stopping this team, but the expectations never met reality. Now, an injury derailed James Harden and the Brooklyn Nets' best chance at a championship, and then the following year, they got swept. And just like that, James Harden's time in Brooklyn was over. He ended up landing in Philadelphia with Joel Embiid, and the recipe was kind of laid out right in front of everybody. Now, this was the point in time where James Harden's intentions became very obvious. It was, I am going to go to whatever team I want to try and win a championship. Not the most honorable thing to do, in my opinion, but we've had players like this before, in their last couple years. As they're getting older, they try to just go to any good team they can get onto in a chance of winning that ring, because the ring is king in this league. You're nothing without a ring. In James Harden's first year with the 76ers, he was facing elimination in the second round of the playoffs against the Miami Heat. And in that elimination game, James Harden went 4 for 9 from the field with 11 points and 4 turnovers. Not the type of game you're looking for from one of the best offensive players in NBA history. But then next year was when he really got exposed, because in the second round again, this time against the Boston Celtics, James Harden once again couldn't put it together when it mattered most. I will say he was spectacular in certain games in this series. In game 1, he put up 45 points, and in game 4, he put up 42. But those weren't the games that truly mattered in this series. With the Philadelphia 76ers up 3-2 in the series, in game 6, James Harden put up 13 points on 4 of 16 from the field. And in critical game 7, he put up 9 points on 3 of 11. And so then James Harden was traded to the Los Angeles Clippers, another already established great team in the Western Conference, led by Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And it seemed like James Harden's role on this team changed from all of his other roles. He stopped being the focal offensive, person. He turned into more of a facilitator where he played off these other scoring superstars. And so people were even more excited because they thought, okay, James Harden changed up his game. He is now playing a championship game. And so we could genuinely see a Clippers championship with James Harden as a major piece of it. In his first year with the Clippers, in the first round against the Dallas Mavericks, again, in the final 2 games of the series, James Harden didn't show up. In game 5, he shot 2 for 12, 1 for 7 from the 3-point line, and scored just 7 points. And then, again, facing elimination in a game 6, he shot 5 for 16, 0 for 6 from the 3-point line, and only scored 16 points. In his next year with the Clippers, it happened again. They took a Denver Nuggets team all the way to game 7. Nobody even thought the Clippers would be in this series. At least I didn't think they would be in this series. But I should have known better when it came to James Harden and James Harden-led teams, because in game 7, James Harden shot just 2 for 8 from the field, scored 7 points, and the Clippers almost lost by 20. It's a brutal narrative at this point, and one that has followed him for the later half of his career. But could it be different this time? Because at the trade deadline this season, James Harden was a part of a trade that nobody expected, where he ended up going to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for Darius Garland back to the Clippers. And at that time, a lot of people were saying this was a great move from Cleveland, but I was sitting there being like, does everybody forget, James Harden's playoff resume, his last 4 or 5 years in the league? And so this year really feels like the last shot for not only James Harden, but also the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, there are reasons to be optimistic with this move because, James Harden is probably, going to the best team he's ever played on talent-wise. You have Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen. You have young, promising role players like Sam Merrill, Jalen Tyson, Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis, all these guys to make a late playoff push. By accepting a lesser role and acting as like that pure point guard for the scorer, Donovan Mitchell, it's a more sustainable path to winning. He doesn't have to shoulder the load and be a 35 point per game scorer anymore. He can do his job and the team will win. When the Cleveland Cavaliers got James Harden, they went on a crazy win streak, and they ultimately turned their season around, and now we're at the playoffs. This is what it all comes down to. One postseason, one chance for James Harden to rewrite his legacy. Because let's be honest, he's 37 years old at this point. Like, this might be his last legitimate chance to win a championship and show people that he is not a playoff choker, that he can win when it really matters. A championship ring honestly would change everything for James Harden. It would recontextualize all the past failures in the playoffs that he's had, or at least make people, forget about them because, hey, at least he's got that ring on his finger. But another failure for James Harden, I think, would be the final nail in the coffin for his legacy. Another early round choke or another terrible performance in a very important elimination game would cement James Harden's legacy as a playoff underperformer. There would be no more chances for him, no more excuses. This is the best setup James Harden has ever been for a playoff run. And so if he can't get it done, he would still be remembered as one of the greatest offensive threats in NBA history, but right next to that would be a small asterisk that says, can't perform in the playoffs, can't win when it matters most. I mean, the stakes have literally never been higher for James Harden. This is the ultimate boom or bust scenario for an all-time great career, an all-time great legacy. And so if he doesn't deliver this season, this could look like a catastrophic miscalculation on Cleveland's side. And for Harden, a failure in Cleveland again would be the final nail in that coffin. It would prove that it doesn't matter the team, it doesn't matter the teammates, it doesn't matter the system. James Harden is the common denominator in every single playoff collapse. It would definitively and irrevocably cement his legacy as a playoff choker. So what do you guys think? Will James Harden finally win that championship in Cleveland that he's been trying to win for years? Or is he destined to be known as, one of the greatest players of all time to never win a ring? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, if you guys have made it this far in the video, first of all, thank you guys so much for watching the whole video. But second of all, you guys made it to the end of the video. You obviously enjoyed it, so make sure to hit that like button on your way out. And again, if you guys want to join my community, I would love to have you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. And lastly, if you want to see any more content from me, YouTube actually thinks that this video right here would be best for you to watch next. And so once this video is done, make sure to click on that and you can see another piece of great basketball content that I'm sure you'll enjoy. But that's really all I got for today, guys. So as always, peace and love.